Let's get started. Welcome to the Mayoral Candidates Forum presented by the Union Square Neighborhood Council with Somerville Community Corporation. Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole translations are available. Danielle will tell you more about how to access those. By participating in this forum, mayoral candidates will inform the public about the ways in which their vision and policies for Somerville will impact the Union Square neighborhood. This meeting is a Zoom webinar format in which only the candidate's moderator and timekeeper are visible. Although public chat has been disabled, please feel free to message either the meeting hosts if you are experiencing any difficulties or have any questions. To plan the forum, USNC invited community members to join their City Election Forum Committee, and SCC enthusiastically responded. Prior to this event, the committee gave community members the opportunity to submit questions via SurveyMonkey and email. Following the submission time, the committee edited the submissions down to 10 questions, which probably we won't get all to, but we are going to do our best. Each candidate will now have 60 seconds to briefly introduce themselves. We'll start in alphabetical order by last name. So Katiana, you are first.
Thank you. I'm Katiana Valentine. I'm running for mayor of Somerville. I'm optimistic about our future. I've dedicated the past 30 years to working for a vision of Somerville that is inclusive with equity, where we can all thrive together, no exceptions. My experience as an immigrant has taught me to value differences. My tri-sector leadership experience in business, in nonprofit, in government, as a counselor and twice elected city council president, has taught me to value inclusive leadership. I have proudly enacted progressive policy solutions addressing affordability, the environment, transportation, education, responsible development. Somerville is a city where people want to live, work, play, and age in place. We should leverage this to ensure as development comes in, that it is consistent with our values and works for neighborhood councils. To deliver on our shared progressive vision, I ask for your vote on September 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, you're up next.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, 66 people at home, but thank you to the Union Square Neighborhood Council. Thank you to the Somerville Community Corporation. My name is Mary Casesso. I am excited by the prospect of being the mayor of Somerville. I was born and raised in Somerville, in East Somerville, and my mother got us involved in progressive movements when I was still in single digits. So whether it was working for the United Farm Workers for better working conditions and better wages, or protesting I-93 so that we didn't have to lose a lot of affordable housing, and we did not have to cut our city in half and deal with health consequences. It was the way we brought up to care about good government in Somerville. I've dedicated my life to working in public service, and I'm excited by the work I did most recently at Cambridge Health Alliance, but it was the work in the pandemic, working with 7 communities, that made me realize how much the social factors of health that I've always worked with make a difference to all of us, driven by respect, inclusivity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Will Emba, you're next.
Thank you for everyone that contributed in putting this event together. I really appreciate it. I'm running for mayor of Somerville because for too long, the needs of the most marginalized in our community has been ignored. Government is not working for them, and it's way too hard for people to afford to live here. I know exactly how this feels. As an immigrant from Cameroon, I know what it's like to feel like you're working hard but barely getting by. My parents both died when I was a young boy, and I was raised by my family members and in a foster home. In 2010, I was lucky enough to be selected to receive a visa to come to the United States and work. But when I came here, I saw that our government did not always work for you when you need it most. So many people in Somerville have a similar experience, whether it be housing or education, have experienced these issues. There has been some progress on these issues, but it has not happened quick enough. And until we have a government that reflects the population, how can we talk about issues of racial equity and environmental justice? That's why I'm running for mayor, to accelerate our community's progress on these issues and change the conversation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Billy Toro, last but not least.
Hi, my name is William Billy Toro. I'm running for mayor of Somerville. I love this city. It's one of the greatest places on earth. I'm a son of immigrants. My mother and father immigrated from Italy. My wife's a Brazilian immigrant who immigrated from Brazil. I have a family of immigrants. I know the struggle, the everyday struggles that immigrants go through in their families. I want to fix Somerville. Somerville is broken. The city council, the administration, it's broken. I want to get rid of the rats. I want to get rid of the flooding. I want to keep the drugs off the streets. I want to increase the police budget to bring in a hub initiative to help the homeless, help the needy, help the addicted. I want to fix the streets. I want to keep the traffic going, get rid of the gridlock in the city. I want to fix Somerville. Somerville is broken. I'm the guy to do it. My name is Billy Toro, and I'm asking for your vote on September 14th. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. We will now move on to the questions. The candidates have agreed to the following rules. Each candidate will be afforded 90 seconds to respond to each question, and each has agreed to remain muted unless it's their turn to speak. For the entirety of the event, each candidate will be afforded 2 20-second extensions, as well as 4 follow-up responses of 60 seconds. They will use the Zoom raise hand feature to indicate they would like to use a follow-up and verbally express that they are using an extension. They will respond in rotating order, starting with Katiana. After the questions, the candidates will have 90 seconds for a closing statement. Let's go. Given that gentrification is already well underway in Somerville, how do you plan to address the displacement of long-term residents while making it possible for working class families to move into Somerville? Katiana, you're up first.
Thank you for the question. We must use every tool possible to help us keep Somerville affordable. I say, I use this analogy, we need to give people the whole coin. On one side of the coin is the housing and the costs to live here. On the other side of the coin are the jobs. We need to be able to provide jobs for people. And we need to bring that in with new commercial development. As a community leader and an activist and elected official, I have made Somerville more affordable. As the board president and 10-year board member of Somerville Community Corporation, I work to create affordable housing. As a counselor, I put pressure on Tufts University also to build more housing on campus. And I have voted consistently to increase affordable housing and prevent displacement. I've helped to create and advocate for the Office of Housing Stability, 20% inclusionary zoning, the Affordable Overlay District, 2,000 homes. Affordability also means bringing in new jobs. 82% of our operating budget comes from residential taxes. We need a new and more revenue to fund the services so we can deliver on our progressive values. Thank you.
You're next, Mary.
Yes, thank you. I have dedicated my life from my lived experiences growing up poor in Somerville and being able to live in Somerville because my grandmother owned a 3-family home. So as a young child, we advocated for social justice as it relates to housing, health in the city, and inclusiveness always in the city. For 30 years now, I've been on the Somerville Affordable Housing Trust Fund, long before I think many people realized the challenge that many had staying in their homes in Somerville. We know that for decades, both the federal government and the state government were not investing at all in housing, but we do have an opportunity now. The combination of the American Rescue Act, finally a housing bond bill that the governor has talked about, and because development that has been underway has expanded the tax base, we have to create more affordable housing. We have to fund the community land trust. We have to get more vouchers from the state and federal government, preferably the state, because of its commitment to not treat immigrants or status differently. So we have to create more, preserve and protect what we have. And that includes people like I talk about, family who keep units in neighbors so affordable below market rents because they care about the community and their neighbors. Thank you.
Sorry, there you go. Perfect. Oh, you're doing the thing. Great. Will, you're next.
Thank you for this question. I want to say, I've said it before. So as terms of affordability, we need to fully fund and expand the Office of Housing Stability and also transfer vacant lots to the community land trust. But I think one thing that is not often talked about is rent control. When we combine rent control with a strong, tenant bill of rights that includes free legal counsel, just cause eviction, the right to purchase, it allows the city to build up its supply of affordable housing without widespread displacement. I have to say, rent control is one of the strongest tools that we can use to ensure working families can stay in Somerville. It's as simple as that. It will put a cap on the impact of speculation is having on rising rent and protect families and middle class. This is something that we need to do. And if we don't act soon, families will be displaced all over the place. They will not be able to live here. They'll be forced to move out of the city. So that's what I would do as mayor, because we need to, take care of our vulnerable community.
Thank you, Will. Billy, you're next.
I think it's amazing how city councilors, the administration, my three opponents, they want to fix everything. They want to do this and they want to do that. Where have they all been for the past 7 years? Where have they been for the past 7 years? You all had the golden opportunity to do it. Why hasn't it been done in 7 years? Why hasn't you people combated the administration? I agree we need more affordable housing. In order to get more affordable housing, you have to build it. You have the biggest obstruction of all, inspectional services, a big blockage there. You can't build affordable housing if you have a blockage there. Developers are scared. They're afraid to come to Somerville. People scared them away. They can't build affordable housing here. Why? For 7 years, you had the opportunity, Wilma Ba, Mary Casesso, and Kajana Ballantyne. For 7 years, you sat on the hand. Now you want to do something about it. Why didn't you do something about it before? I plan on doing something about it. I'm going to build affordable housing. I'm going to keep the seniors that are in housing in their homes. I'm going to give them their independence back by creating the HAND program. Give them the independence for just doing the things that drive them out of their homes. They have to fix water heaters. They're going to fix roofs. They're going to fix furnaces, cut the grass. I'm going to give them that independence to stay in their homes so that they don't have to be displaced. It's bad enough they're combating the high taxes that you people put upon them and did nothing about it. They're staying there with the high water and sewer bills. None of these have done a thing about it. I plan on doing it. I plan on doing it all. Somerville is broken. It's broken because of all three of you. All three of it. Somerville is broken, and I plan on fixing it. Thank you. That's why I'm running for mayor.
All right. Next question. Union Square is in dire need of a community center, especially for the youth and elderly population in the area. The major developers recognize this need, but the city has been unresponsive. As mayor, will you commit to creating a community center in Union Square? First up, Kachana.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Are we rotating or am I up again?
You are up again.
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Of course. So the question was, as mayor, will you commit to creating a community center in Union Square?
Yes, it should be part of the community benefits agreement. This is how developers can build within our shared values, and the community has been asking for this for a very long time. Thank you.
Mary, you're next.
I absolutely agree on the importance of a community center. Growing up in Somerville, we had many more resources for young people. There were several teen centers where I learned to play ping pong by Sal Albano taught me. We had more resources, I think, for the elderly. But I think that our community needs a place to gather together. I think the Union Square Neighborhood Association with SCC did a great job with the Community Benefits Agreement, committing to priority areas, including a community center. That's where people can meet, grow together, share food, and be part of a neighborhood. It's absolutely needed. And I think it is beyond even in the Union Square area for youth and more that we have to do for the elderly. Thank you.
Thank you. Will, you're next.
I just want to say thank you for that question. The answer is yes. Our city needs one regardless, because I think also the Union Square is kind of like the perfect place for it. But during the winter, where do the kids hang out? So there's no place for our kids to gather in our city. So yes, and also, unfortunately, we don't talk about this, often enough. So I appreciate you asking that. Thank you.
And Billy.
Yes, as I have stated multiple times, I plan on building a few teen centers and senior centers. We have a council on aging. Our seniors are trapped in their apartments. We have a council on aging. They don't take them anywhere. Back in the day, they used to take them everywhere. All of a sudden, our city council are not speaking up for our seniors and our veterans. I've been hosting them for the past 20 years on my own at the Winter Hill Yacht Club every month for the past 20 years for all the seniors and the veterans. I've had 10 of them alone this year. I'm having one. I just had one last month. I'm having one September 22nd for all the seniors and the veterans. I'm also hosting a veterans cruise for 200 seniors and veterans this coming Sunday for the veterans cruise. I've been doing this all along, and I plan on expanding my project and my programs once I become mayor. All my opponents had the chance of doing this all through the year. Where have they been? When was the last time Somerville Council on Aging took anybody out? When is the last time they've done anything for the seniors other than a couple of years ago feeding them pizza and ice cream on an off year for their election? I want to do this every day, every year, every month for our seniors. They're going to be my top priority, the seniors, the veterans, and the youth of the city. And like I've been saying, teen centers, I want to build 2 or 3 of them. I want to keep these kids off the streets, away from drugs. I want to get them jobs, give them opportunities. I don't want them being on street corners so they can see these free, safe injection sites you people want to put in. I'm going to keep them away from drugs. And as mayor, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to accomplish it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next up, the city's Department of Infrastructure and Asset Management tells us just to bring our infrastructure up to code requirements and prevent emergencies, we would need to invest 1.1 billion, which is more than 4 times the total amount of our current bond debt. Annual payments on that debt would be something like 20% of our total current budget. What do we do? Katiana, you're up first.
Thank you. I would like to make a comment before I state that I understood this to be a forum where we share our policy ideas. And so I would like to say that I have been a strong advocate for affordable housing for our youth and for our seniors. Thank you. And so to go on now to the question. So as mayor, I will be committed to creating safe and accessible, complete streets with upgraded infrastructure for stormwater, sewage, and other utility upgrades that works for all Somerville users. Many of these projects require immediate attention, as the recent flooding and service interruptions have shown. So how do we pay for this? There's a few things. So I'm going to give you 3. 1, good planning and transit-oriented design to diversify our tax base. I've been working and advocating for this for decades, and we are beginning to diversify our tax base as we presently see new office and lab and R&D development according to the new zoning we voted in. Federal stimulus dollars. Somerville expects tens of millions of stimulus dollars from the federal government. This is another way to pay for infrastructure. And from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, also known as the MPO. The MPO supports long-range transportation plans. It also has transportation improvement programs. And this is an opportunity for the city to get funding through the MPO. I'll keep working for appropriate commercial development so the new development and business can help pay for the new infrastructure. And finally, I'll establish a new open process to define priority, shovel-ready projects, and I'll work to jumpstart critical projects like stormwater management in our squares with stimulus funding. Thank you.
Thank you. And I understand next time I'll rotate who starts first, but for now, Mary, you're up next.
Okay, thank you. I worked for Gene Broom back in 1980 when Proposition 2.5 was enacted, which put severe tax limitations on the city. And Somerville pretty much got its revenue from housing, not much business. We are in a stronger position right now for the developments underway, both at Assembly, Union Square, Boynton Yards. First and foremost, they have to work for the neighbors, and they have to deliver the services in the environment, in the affordable housing, the green and open space that are our priorities. And it has to be driven by our neighborhoods, not by people that will go back to a different community in the evening. That expanded tax base will be part of the solution. Beyond that, we are fortunate that the federal government is investing heavily in infrastructure. Finally, I would mention that when I worked for the city of Somerville back in the 80s, we did the first capital budget for the city of Somerville. Just like managing your own activities, it becomes really important for you to do long-range planning. And people need to be supportive of the investment, ongoing investment in buildings, in streets. The flooding that we've seen in Ward 2 and the constant pictures of being shared are not okay. It needs to be addressed. So we need to constantly do long-range planning. We need a budgetary process that has more input by the neighbors and residents of the city, and always need to do maintenance and long-range planning so that we never neglect our buildings, our infrastructure, our streets, and make them more friendly and accessible for all of the members of the Somerville community. I've talked to people that feel challenged with disabilities in terms of the safe streets and sidewalks being a priority. Thank you.
I just want to alert candidates are able to do an extension, and Mary, I just want to alert you, you use one of your extensions, which you can use at any time, but please stay within your time limits. Thank you.
Thank you, Gonzalo. Sorry, I forgot to be looking at the cards you hold up. Apologies.
No worries. Will, you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll try to stay as short and concise as possible. I think, this is, something that we don't often also talk about, that we need, to expand our Department of Public Works and Inspectional Services Department, make sure that we actually audit our entire city building for its structural integrities, so we can start to renovate them, look at which buildings need to be torn down and stuff like that, because we have, like you said, we have some huge funding coming, so we need to prioritize that. And also the infrastructure means that also working on protected bike lanes, building a stormwater system, because as you probably know, there's this climate change is real, it's right here, and it's a critical issue. So we need to build an infrastructure that can withstand the impact of all this, increasing rain and precipitation. So this is what I will do as mayor. And also, like Mary said, making sure that also we build our roads for everybody, seniors, people with disabilities, and families. So we need to all, create a community that works for everybody, not just the elites. Thank you.
Thank you. And Billy.
Flooding in Somerville has been going on for over 14 years. 14 years. And all those pictures we're talking about, distributed of people driving a canoe in front of their homes. Well, that's right. I'll take one, for instance, on Richdale Ave. It floods every time it rains out. Do you know why? The chimneys are all broken. There's chimneys, just like you have a chimney in your roof, there's a chimney in the middle of the ground. And it's like a junction where all the pipes go in and the water flows. When them chimneys are clogged up and they're crushed and collapsed, there's nowhere for the water to go. There's backup. Richdale Ave alone, for 14 years, it's been known that Verizon had put a 2,000 pound piece of equipment on top of that chimney and crushed it. For some reason, the city council in over 14 years never went after Verizon to fix it. That's just one. That's why that whole city, that whole street floods every time it rains out. It's not due to climate change. It's due because the water has nowhere to go. We have chimneys throughout the whole city, especially in Ward 7. Our Ward 7 council should be aware of it, because I know people have made complaints about it. The chimneys are over 150 years old. They're all crushed, they collapsed. Instead of doing all the roads over right away, you've done the roads over a few times. They look like garbage. But while you have it dug out, why do you replace the chimneys? Solve the flooding problem first, then cover the street over. Take the Washington Street Bridge. You just spent $12 million to do that bridge over. 2 years. 2 years, they closed it down. They killed all them businesses there for 2 years. $12 million do it over. The last two storms, it flooded. I get pictures of cars. The water's
right.
up to their rooftops.
We've gone over 90. Would you like to use your extension?
Sure. And you know something, like the streets are flooded. They're going to flood continuously until you fix the problem. The problem has to be fixed. You got to change all the chimneys in the city. There's got to be funding out there. We'll find the funding. But you can put a Band-Aid on every time it rains or snows. It's not going to be cured until you fix it right. And I apologize. I don't see the people waving. I'm calling. I'm late coming. I'm coming from 3 other events. And I'm doing it from my cell phone, so I can only see one
No
person.
worries. We're out of time on that one. Thank you. No problem. Next up is about workers' rights. So according to data from the State Division of Labor Relations, the city administration has chosen to repeatedly violate workers' contractual rights, causing unnecessary costly litigation, wasting taxpayer dollars, and lowering employee morale. If elected mayor, how would you repair the city's relationship with its municipal employees? What specific policies and procedures would you change to improve wages and working conditions? And this time we're going to start with Mary.
Okay, thank you. I already mentioned in my opening statement that as a young girl, my family was involved in working for the United Farm Workers for the very thing you're talking about, better wages, better conditions. My family, my mother, my older brother, my sister are all union members. During the pandemic, I learned firsthand the injustice and the inequities that were faced by people that had no prevailing wages, had absolutely no sick benefits, and so could not take time off and had no PPE protecting them. We saw young people that weren't supposed to be the folks so exposed getting very, very ill. And people were told, well, you have to isolate. Sometimes families are living in one-room apartments. So I am a strong advocate of prevailing wages and union protections. When I became an adoptive parent at Harvard, I had 5 days off as my benefit for being an adoptive mother. We have to do better for our workers if we want a healthy society and if we want to bridge the gap in income and provide equality. Thank you. I'm paying attention, Gonzalo.
Will, you're next.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think it's an important one and an important debate for us to be having. So one of the things that I need to do, I will need to reach out to SCMA, for those who don't know, Somerville Municipal Employee Association. You know, I will make sure that they are my priority because as you probably, if you don't, for those who don't know, I'm the only candidate in this race that is a union member. So, you know, and this, the Somerville Municipal Employee Association has filed several grievances as I've been on the council with our city. It doesn't have to be this way. You know, we need to have a better relationship with workers that do so much for our cities and pay them a fair wage. So I really appreciate this question. And the one thing also that we need to also do is make sure that we have a project level agreement for every large development in our city. This is going to be huge, and I will make sure that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy.
I think the first thing you have to do to gain the people's trust, the employees in the from the city of Somerville, is you can't lie to them. You got to be honest with them. You know, we just had somebody step down, I believe it was yesterday, at department head, city of Somerville, out of TPW. He lied about someone's union workers. No one stuck up for this guy except for the unions. They end up taking him to court, and it went through thousands of dollars of litigations. And they finally figured, oh, this guy did. He let these people down, these city workers down. What do you call it? The interim DPW commissioner let him go yesterday. And he got caught lying. And today he mentioned, that's actually on my Facebook page, he mentioned he was forced to lie by the administration and by his department heads. So you have to gain the trust back of all our employees in the city of Somerville. And you know, they are union workers. And Will, you said you're a union. You should have stood up for these people instead of them have to go through litigation. I stood up for them, and I don't even work for the city. I stood up for them. And the only reason that, you know, It just happened because he just resigned yesterday because he got caught. She'll late and let him go for that reason. You have to gain the respect and the trust back from these employees and give them the hardworking people, give them the trust, give them the pay they need, the pay rates. But you know something? Gain their trust. Morale is low. Morale is low at the police department. Morale is low at the Somerville Fire Department. Morale is low at the DPW. I plan on changing that. I want to be a mayor for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Katiana.
Thank you. I'm known for my inclusive leadership style. When we work on things, we try to work on them together. You know why it's inclusive? It can, that's when you get the best results. It can take a little bit longer. It can certainly get messy, but at the end of the day, you get buy-in, you get shared purpose, and you get better results, and you certainly get enthusiasm. So our workforce is important. Their job satisfaction is important. And my interaction with all the unions has been positive. I've been supportive of them, and I will continue to make sure that they are at the table as I am mayor. I will make sure that they are at the table in the discussions and developing the policies or the issues that are most important to them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, one more question, and then I will let Katiana and Will give their closing statements since I know they have to leave early. This one is about immigration. Even though Somerville is a sanctuary city, undocumented immigrants are excluded from job opportunities because the federal government forces employers to use E-Verify, which prevents undocumented workers from working and paying taxes. What would you do to ensure that everyone, regardless of immigration status, has fair access to job opportunities? And this time we will start with Will. Oh, Will, you're muted.
I apologize for that. Thank you for that question. I think this is personal to me. I really, it's like as somebody who immigrated here in this city has given me so much opportunity. I cannot, emphasize the importance of this. We need to work with this community and do also outreach. There's not enough outreach. We have all these policies, programs, but yet people don't even know that they are there. So we need to start by really, intentionally creating policies and intentionally, reaching out to people that really need these resources, that need to be reached out. Because I even think that, I came here, I was already participating in this community just as a legal permanent resident. I was not able to vote, but yet I was deeply involved on the board of directors of East Somerville Ministry. So all is just to say, even legal permanent residents in this community that work and pay taxes should be able to even vote. So it's about outreach. And we already have all these different resources that we got to expand, like Somerville by this Office of Immigrant Affairs, and really, audit them, what kind of method of outreach are they using? Because we know where this immigrant community are. So we need to be very intentional to do that outreach and kind of help them so that they can be stabilized in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy, you're next.
Immigrants' rights are my top priority. Like I said, I'm come from a family of immigrants. My mother father immigrated from Italy. My wife immigrated from Brazil. And my wife for the past year has done, she's spearheaded the immigration independence program that we're bringing to the city of Somerville. My wife does it on her own time. She doesn't get paid for it. And it's where immigrants can come to us with an open door policy. We will help them where they're getting battered, they're getting abused, they're getting taken advantage of. Even though it's a sanctuary, supposedly, it's not a sanctuary city, supposedly a sanctuary city, they're still getting battered by this family members of this administration. But my wife opened up this program, which I'm gonna really push it for this program for the city of Somerville once I get in. It's gonna be helping all these immigrants' rights. It's gonna get them the job, put them on the direct path of proper immigration, legalization, driver's licenses to get them legally. We're going to show them how to open their own businesses, how to raise their families, how to first time buy a home, how to get an apartment. We're going to be assisting them. I'm going to have an open door policy. You're not going to need an appointment to call me. I answer my own. Everybody's got my cell phone number. I answer my own phone. I'm going to have an open door policy in the mayor's office. It's going to be so open, I'm going to take the doors off the hinges. You're not going to even need an appointment to come and see me. And we're going to spearhead this program. We're going to make it work for all these immigrants. And these immigrants can be a valuable part of our society, which they belong. Thank you.
Thank you. And Katiana.
Thank you. So I was born and orphaned in Greece. I was adopted there by my Scottish father and Czech German mother. We're a family of immigrants, and we immigrated to the United States when I was 4. I learned then that sometimes people are afraid of differences. It could be your accent, it could be the foods you eat, it could simply be your culture. So what did I learn? I learned to make sure that everyone is included. I was the first in my family to go to college. I worked 2 jobs, took out loans to get a BA and an MBA. Because my family came here with no resources except a work ethic, I worked to put myself and earn my experience that I've had here. And I've included 3 decades of working and volunteering with our most vulnerable communities. I support sanctuary cities. I supported and all the services and resources that go with that. I supported the creation and expansion of the immigrant services. I proposed a second full-time position for Spanish in immigrant services. I proposed a second or the first full-time position in Nepali. And we can expand our immigrant services to not only give legal advice, but also to give job opportunity advice. And I will continue to do more as mayor. Thank you.
Great. And now, just to make sure that you guys get your chance to have a closing statement, I'm going to let Will and Katiana do that now. You might have time to stay for the next question as well. Just wanted to make sure. Will, would you like to go first?
Sure. I just want to say thank you so much, for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. There's no doubt that development and construction will have an enormous impact on the future of Union Square. The challenge for the next mayor will be to ensure that the priorities of residents and small businesses are always put before the needs of developers. And you can be assured that I will always put the needs of people first, because I'm the only one, running in this race that I've never accept money contribution from developers. This is the only way that we can put people first before profit. And this is my belief system. I've really enjoyed working with so many of you as a city councilor. But if I'm elected, I look forward to continuing to work with you rigorously to enforce the agreement that your organization has negotiated with US2. We need to ensure that developers are living up to the community benefit agreement they agreed, in releasing also a community impact report that is transparent and also in a timely fashion. Organizations like yours are the model of what empowering residents and small businesses in Somerville should look like and should be replicated throughout the city. Like I said before, the most marginalized and vulnerable in Somerville do not have a seat at the table, but developers and special interests from outside of our community. And your organization has changed that. And I promise, if I'm also elected mayor, I will also change that as well. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. And for Mary and Billy, we do plan to go to 7:15, and then you can do your closing statements, unless, of course, you wanted to go earlier. But for now, Katiana.
Thank you. Thank you, Union Square Neighborhood Council and Somerville Community Corporation, for your hard work in standing up for those who live and work in Somerville. To show that I put residents first, my campaign does not accept developer money. For the past 30 years, I have shown that I work together with neighborhood groups to put our shared values first. Our next mayor must have 3 key qualities to do the job we expect and deserve: a commitment to our values and culture, an inclusive leadership style rooted in transparency and engagement, and a proven experience to be chief executive of our dynamic city. I best bring these 3 key qualities to the mayor's office. I have built coalitions and accomplished policy changes as a professional, as a community leader and as a city councilor. Serving in local government is a rewarding passion. And for me, it is more than an occupation. Local government is where the rhetoric of politics becomes the reality of our lives. Right now, Somerville is in a pivotal time as the city chooses new leadership. In such exciting times, and with an appetite for great positive change, we will need experienced, progressive, inclusive leadership more than ever. That is what I believe is at stake in this election. That is the leadership that I've shown for many years, and that is why I'm running for mayor. I ask for your vote on September 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for giving your closing statements earlier. I appreciate that. So we're going to keep going with the questions, and hopefully you'll have time for just one more. While our city's budget is sharply constrained, we face urgent needs for affordable housing, jobs, living wage incomes, usable open space, climate change investment, and human services. Will you use the money from the Union Square developers to address these needs? And if so, how? With the rotator, Will is first. It's like, oh, nope, he had to go. So Billy, you are first. Oh, Billy, you're muted.
Okay, good. Of course I would use the money for the betterment of Somerville, of course. Somerville is broken. We have to, whatever we have to do to get it back, we have to get it back. I'm going to improve the streets. I'm going to improve the infrastructure. I'm going to improve our relations with the police and the fire departments. There's going to be a lot of public outreach. A lot of stuff's going to improve under my watch. All the corruption's going to disappear. That's the only reason I got into this race in the beginning, is because the corruption was running rapid through the city. That was the biggest part of it, between the mayor's office and the developers. But there are good developers out there. You have to sift them through, you find them. I take money from developers. I take it for a reason, because we want developers to come back into the city. We want to earn their trust. They're scared to come into the city because it costs them a fortune just to start off to do a development. And they can never build affordable housing, because every job that they do in Somerville, cost overrun, costs a fortune. It never becomes an affordable housing. But we're going to give the developer a chance to do it. We're going to unclog the clog that's causing all that in special services at the DPW, and we're going to have a new beginning for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, you're next.
Mary, I didn't get a chance to address the immigration issue. So I wanted to do that a little. That's okay. But then maybe I can answer. And then in why I felt that so strongly about this, because I lived in the city and advocated with my family for a sanctuary city. I have spent my life committed to inclusivity, welcoming, and working for the betterment of so many. I'll talk most recently about my last job at Cambridge Health Alliance, because during the Trump administration, even patients of ours that were entitled to benefits were so afraid to take any of the benefits. We worked so hard, whether it was an organized letter writing campaign to stop the changes Trump was making on immigration. I did extensive fundraising so that we could provide immigration services to family, rent, food. But most importantly, that had the largest reach and the impact, is that we did a lot of funded research. Leah Zalman, a researcher of ours who sadly was killed by a car up in West Somerville about a year ago, we were able to prove and give the data to our legislators that resulted in new legislation that proved that immigrants were contributing more to our country than that they were taking out of the systems like Medicare. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize for that. It's
No, that's quite all right.
hard
But now
to-
I forget the other question.
That's quite all right. I will just read it again. Our city's budget is sharply constrained. We face urgent needs for affordable housing, jobs, living wage incomes, usable open space, climate change investment, and human services. Will you use the money from the Union Square developers to address these needs? And if so, how?
Absolutely. And that wouldn't be all the only resources I use, because our needs are even greater than that. But all of these issues are connected. A lot of them are the social factors of health, and we can work on them rather than working in silos, work on them together. I mentioned Proposition 2.5 and the impact it had on both human infrastructure and infrastructure. I mentioned that for so long, government didn't step up to provide the safety net services I feel strongly that government is obliged to do. So whether it's healthcare, affordable housing, that I have dedicated the major part of my life to creating more affordable housing because of my own circumstances and knowing that need. It's huge. I also believe that we have to do internships like I did at Cambridge Health Alliance for immigrants, work with the Interfaith Council, et cetera, providing more jobs, people with language skills to provide those jobs. High school kids getting better jobs. I love the community benefits agreement and the commitment to jobs, not just for young people, but for parents, for immigrants, so that they have career growth and trajectory. And it all starts with education, to universal pre-K and after school. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Will you commit to making covenants between the mayor and developers more transparent? Will you also commit to making community-driven asks permanent in these covenants? What asks would you prioritize? Billy, I can't see your video, but I do believe you're still there. Go ahead.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the relationship between the developer and the mayor should be transparent, not like it's been the past 7 years with the crooked developers and the mayor. I think you should be very transparent. There should be a board. There should be a board overseeing all of this. A board of residents, not handpicked hacks. I believe we can work together. Developers are out to make money, and I understand that. They're entitled to make money. That's why they're in business. But we don't want to make the money and taking advantage. We want to get our money's worth. We want to make sure they're doing a job. We want to make sure they're not taking properties, eminent domain, taken for their own personal use. I'll get to that. But I want to make sure we're going to be able to work with developers, bring in affordable housing, bring in senior centers, bring in new buildings for our seniors, for senior centers and teen centers. But I want to be able to work with developers, absolutely, transparently and honestly, not like in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary.
Yes, I'll focus on what I remember of the question, but I love the model that was created with the Union Square Neighborhood Council. The people that live in the community that need to be in the thick of what their neighborhood is going to be like should be leading in these efforts. They are the people that don't drive out of the community to a different suburb at night, but rather are invested in the success of the neighborhood, in remaining in the community, having affordable housing, building more vibrancy with a community center, making certain that we're addressing climate change, and of course, jobs. We have to have a commitment with Somerville preference for jobs. So I am very supportive of neighborhood councils taking the lead. There may have been one other part of the question, but I think we have a wonderful model that was produced with the Union Square, but also SCC, because there's that job component as well. Thank you.
Thank you. If you need to refer to the questions, they're actually in the chat. Sometimes it can be easier to see them visually than having me talk. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, next question. Our streets are already congested, and we'll be dealing with multiple large construction projects for the next 5 to 10 years. How will you manage the increase in traffic, make space for different travel modes and users on the roadways, and what will you do about the increase in cut-through traffic? Mary, we will start with you this time.
Thank you. And that is a tall order, because as I've been canvassing, there's a lot of conversation about the condition of the sidewalks and the streets. There's a lot of conversation about climate justice. I will say that I do think people are recognizing the impact of whether it's the fires out in the West Coast, the flooding that we've experienced, the extreme heat, and even the temperature of the ocean water here, that we cannot continue to ignore making changes and in transportation, in the built environment. So I wanted to acknowledge that first off. I think related to traffic, I think we have to continue to incentivize and make options. I am a walker. I consider that my exercise and part of my overall health regime. I think that the bikers, and I'd like to see more consistency within the city, but also within the neighboring communities and the regional for bike paths. I hear people talk about it being unsafe and confusing, not just for the bicyclers, but even for people that are driving. And I think we do need to pay attention to safer roads and sidewalks for all of the people that are, whether it's wheeling baby carriages or because of accessibility reasons, we need to do that.
Okay, thank you. Billy, you're up.
You know, Somerville is broken, like I said, and the major problem, we have all this congestion. Well, let's take Broadway, for instance. We have a bike lane and we have a dedicated bus lane, and we have one lane for 10,000 cars every hour going down Somerville. People don't want to drive through Somerville anymore because it's congestion. My plan for Broadway alone is to make the bus lane, it's going to be a carpool lane. But that's what a bus is. A bus is a carpool. Anyone with two or more people in the car will be able to go before and after that bus in that lane. I'd rather be in my car, safe and sound, with my wife and my grandkids, with my air conditioning on, instead of being on a bus with 15 or 20 people coughing in my face for no reason at all. You have a bus that goes by every 45 minutes on Broadway alone, every 45 minutes. A bike during the summer, I've timed them. You'll get one bike every half hour to one every 45 minutes, one bike. That's in the summertime. That was just now passed in August. You come December, January, February, you're not gonna see no bikes there. So we're gonna learn to share the road sensibly with common sense. I want to put, like I said, I'm gonna turn that the bus lane is gonna be a carpool lane. And you know something? They're closing down most of these streets. They're taking away parking. I noticed they took away both sides of parking on College Ave. They're taking away two sides on College Ave. They took away both sides on Webster Ave. They took away parking on both sides of Somerville Ave in the beginning. And they're making it more dangerous for cars to go by in bikes. You can't get rid of the cars. I understand we need bikes and we need cars, but until we can come up with an elaborate underground rail system like Montreal, Canada.
Unfortunately, you're out of time. Would you like to use your last 20-second extension?
Yes, I would. Until we can become like Montreal, Canada, or Paris, France, or Washington, D.C. with these elaborate underground bus systems with shopping malls and stuff like that, then we could use the bus lanes and the bike lanes. But until then, we have to depend on automobiles because we have nothing but rats underground. We don't have subway system. We have rats underground. But we have to depend on our automobiles for now. We have to get rid of the congestion to make the city move better.
Thank you. Out of time on that one. Thank you very much. Next question. I think we have time for our last two questions. The city of Somerville is bringing more people into the city by adding more businesses and residential units to Union Square. At the same time, it has pledged to increase its open and green spaces to 112 acres. How will you resolve the contradiction of increasing the public availability of open spaces and the need to increase green spaces in Somerville in view of the impact of climate change and environmental justice? For example, will you pledge to not replace grass fields with artificial turf? Billy, you're first.
Well, to increase green space, you have to have space. We don't have any space. The space we have right now, we need it for the space they've taken away is for parking. My priority is put the parking back that the city council has taken away. Then we should put green space in there. And we're talking about the artificial turf. Would I change the real grass to artificial turf? Well, let's take Conway Park, for instance. How did that work out for you? we're replacing the park in the middle of summer. We're replacing it because it's poisonous and it's poisonous, contaminated artificial turf. People are getting rashes and scabs on it. Why? Why are we digging up that park in the middle of summer? Because the artificial turf didn't work for some reason, did it? It didn't work out at all. I plan on using real grass when we use our grass space, green space, but we have to create some green space. But first, we're going to create parking space. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?
Yes, I would pledge for no artificial turf. I think that will help with some of the climate issues we talk about, some of the flooding, et cetera. Related to more people, more residential units, and then how you accommodate green and open space. It's challenging. We're only 4 square miles. I talked before about not working in silos. And so every project has to do more for all of these priority areas of ours. And we need to have more incentives available for people to do that. I remember decades ago at Harvard, I tried to convince all of my colleagues about a green roof for Harvard instead of one of those white plastic roofs, because I felt like it could build community. It could give us some green space. It could give us a chance to garden, but also sit together, cook together, and enjoy meals together. We need to find ways that we integrate these priority areas so that it's a win-win. And that means with the gardens, the open space, et cetera. And be as clever as the Union Square Neighborhood Council has been in pooling some of the resources as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've made it to our last question. Nice job, everyone. So the people that candidates accept money from and make donations to can say a lot. And this information is in the public record, OCPF. Who are your largest donors? And can you describe any groups you are refusing campaign funds from and why? And Mary, you're first.
Thank you. I've had a pretty long career, and I will say, every job I've worked in, I have people not only paving, beating the paths and helping on canvassing, on phone calls, et cetera, but these same people from every job I ever worked, the strongest donors I've had. And that's something I'm particularly proud about, that that whether it was my first job in Somerville, state positions that go back to the 80s, and even more recently, you're doing something right when people still support you, and you've been very successful doing some challenging and transformational jobs. So I would say that's the biggest group of donors to me. Related to, I'm sorry, Gonzalo, can you put it up one more time? Thank you, 30 seconds. Okay. Related to, I have I've been receiving funds, not a significant amount. I did make it clear that I would not accept any development money from anyone doing business in the city now or had proposed plans for the city. When you run business, it has to include working with everyone. And so I am used to working with all people, and still my values and priorities dictate my work.
All right. Okay, thank you. You could use your one last extension if you wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Billy, you're next.
You know, right now I have over close to 1,500 individual sign and banner locations throughout the city. 1,500 for mayoral campaign. It's unheard of. That's how many people are believing in me and want change in the city of Somerville. These are property owners, homeowners, business owners. I'm getting my money from the homeowners, property owners, business owners, developers who want to come back to the city. Property seniors. There's 8,500 seniors around throughout the city. They're supporting me. There's 1,700 veterans throughout the city. They're supporting me. There's landlords, there's tenants. People want change. There's homeless people supporting me because I want to take care of the homeless. It's my support's coming from a variety throughout the city. They're tired of the same old. They're tired of the insider deals with the corruption that's been running rampant in the city some of the last 18 years. They're tired. They want a new beginning for the city. I love this city, and I'm going to make sure it happens. I don't let my volunteers down. I don't let my constituents down. They want change, and I'm going to give them change. They deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to stay off mute, it's time for our closing statements. And Billy, you will be first. I just want to say thank you both for joining us, and let's hear your closing statements.
Hey, you know something? I've been around Somerville for over 60 years. I'm the publisher of the Somerville Medford News Weekly, publisher of Boston News Group. I've been an 8-term past president with Gene Brune for the past 20 years. And an 8-term president, I am a 2-time past master of the King Solomon Masonic Lodge. I'm a member of the Eastern Star, and I'm a member of the Benevolent Jade Society of New England, which supports law enforcement throughout the country. I'm a proud member of the society. I bring a wealth of knowledge to the city of Somerville. I've been helping the community for years on my own. I never ran for political office, but now I'm running. I'm running to make it a better Somerville because I'm tired of the same old, same old. Somerville deserves better. You can read more about my platform and my campaign at www.williamtoro.com. So that's williamtoro.com. You can read my outline for Greater Somerville. It's in 7 different languages, maybe 8 different languages. Just click on the top, the desired language, and you'll hear it. My outline for Greater Somerville by William Toro. It's on williamtoro.com, and you'll read all about my platform. It's 4 pages long, just the outline alone, but you'll spend hours on my site on things we've done, all my programs. I brought the food program back to Somerville. I distribute every week. I was distributing 535-pound boxes of food to our seniors, our veterans, and to the public. And I'm going to be doing that. I've been doing quite a bit. I've been taking care of our seniors, our vets. And like I said, I never ran for political office. I never asked for nothing in return. It's all free. It was on me. And I continue to do that. Now I'm going to bring it to, and that's it. I guess
that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, your turn.
Thank you. And thank you, first of all, to the Union Square Neighborhood Council and to Somerville Community Corporation. But to all the viewers at home, we had quite an audience there for a while. So thank you to all the attendees tonight. I am so proud of the people of Somerville and their commitment, care, and concern for our city. I have canvassed throughout all wards in Somerville, and I have met so many neighbors who have been kind enough to share their priorities. I want to state that I will be the mayor that listens. I listened to the concerns of affordable housing, which has been the #1 issue mentioned, public health, the pandemic and the concern that lingers, particularly as I have been visiting some of the seniors in public housing, health equity, climate justice, employment and education, which changed my life, being the first to attend college and graduate school with a commitment to stay in the public sector. I have unparalleled experience running large and complex organizations, and my values have been shaped by my lived experience and my commitment to social justice, inclusivity. As mayor, I will work for you to build a city that leaves no one behind and advances an equitable, safe, and welcoming, inclusive city for all. I have trusted relationships, as I mentioned, from every job I ever worked, so I'm doing something right. I would love your vote in the preliminary on September 14. I would also encourage you to go to my website.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of the candidates for participating in the forum. Thank you to everyone who attended. A recording of tonight's forum will be posted online, and there will be an email about when those videos are available under the link in the chat. Thank you again, everybody who came.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.